I retired from the Air Force at 39 after serving for 20 years, and I can comfortably say that I'm between lean fire and the traditional fire number. And I started my fire journey or financial independence and retire early journey in 2014. And man, once I started learning all the different rules, strategies, and formulas people love to throw around, it felt like drinking from a fire hose. And everybody online seems to have their own version of the truth. But over the years, I figured out which rules actually mattered. And let me tell you, they changed my life. Forget the negative people in the comments saying that's not realistic. Yes, it is realistic. Every American has the opportunity to achieve financial independence if they are willing to track their money and actually face how much of it leaves their bank account every single month. So today, let me walk you through every investing and money rule that helped me reach my first fire number when I retired from the Air Force. So you can run your own race and create your own path to early retirement. So first, you absolutely need to understand the rule of 25. And this is step one. You cannot invest blindly without knowing what you're aiming for. It's like getting in your car and driving without knowing where you're going. The rule of 25 is simple. You take your annual expenses and multiply them by 25, and that's your fire number. And that's how much you need saved up to retire comfortably. But here's where people get it wrong. They lump all their expenses into one big pile. You need to first divide your expenses into two buckets, and these are essential expenses and discretionary expenses. Essential expenses are the things you absolutely need to survive now or throughout your retirement. I'm talking about groceries, housing, utilities, transportation, insurance, healthcare, and other similar costs. And these are the bills that show up every single month, whether you like it or not. And discretionary expenses, on the other hand, are the fun stuff: restaurants, entertainment, travel, gifts, donations, celebrations, and other similar expenditures. And these are the things that make life worth living, right? But you could technically cut them if you had to. So let me show you how this works with real numbers. Let's say your essential expenses are $40,000 a year, and you multiply that by 25 and you get $1 million. Then let's say your discretionary expenses are $20,000 a year, you multiply that by 25 and you get $500,000. And those together and your total fire number is $1.5 million. And that's how much you need to have invested before you can retire and maintain your current lifestyle without your 9 to 5 job. But here's something you need to remember. And this is specific for those of you who have put in your time at a job with benefits. You have to include your pension in your fire calculation. So for example, let's say I'm getting a $40,000 pension from the military. If I did not have any investments, I would technically use my pension to cover my essential expenses. That $40,000 helps me keep the lights on and the fridge full. That leaves me with only the remaining $20,000 in discretionary expenses to cover with my portfolio. So if I had $500,000 in my TSP, that's going to generate $20,000 a year with a 4% withdrawal rate. Suddenly, I don't need 1.5 million. I only need $500,000 because the pension is doing the heavy lifting. Now, let's look at it another way. Let's say you want to spend $100,000 a year when you retire in 20 years. That sounds like a hefty goal requiring a $2.5 million portfolio. But what if you had a Social Security pension of $30,000 a year? Just subtract that from your spending need. Now you only need to generate $70,000 a year from your investments. And that reduces your fire number from 2.5 million down to $1.75 million. And that is a massive difference. So knowing the rule of 25 is so crucial because you should never invest blindly without knowing what your fire number is going to be. And this is why it's always been step one of my fire checklist, which you can also download for absolutely free by visiting fireteacher.com/resources. If you don't know what your fire number is supposed to be and you don't understand how to adjust by inflation every year because you don't budget, then you're never going to know when you're supposed to retire without working a 9 to 5 job ever again. Now, knowing your number is great, but how exactly do you get there? This brings me to the next rule, which is the savings rate of 25%. I don't want to call this another rule of 25 and confuse you with what I just went over. So let's just focus on the percentage. My ultimate retirement savings rate has always been 25% of my gross income since I began my financial independence journey. Because of this discipline, I am now able to max out every retirement investment vehicle up to the IRS limit. Here is how the math shakes out. If my income is $100,000, I'm saving $25,000 a year, or 25%, split into my 401k, Roth IRA, and HSA. If my income jumps to $200,000, then I'm saving $50,000 a year using the same 25% savings rate. So, first, my wife and I always max out our HSAs. For 2026, the family limit is $8,750. And you better believe we're hitting that. And we will max out our Roth IRAs too, which will be $7,500 each in 2026. Then comes the employer's plan. We both max out our employer-sponsored retirement plans, and I no longer contribute to my military TSP since I retired from the Air Force, but I have a 401k through my business that I can max out as both an employee and employer, which is a nice perk of being self-employed. And as for my wife, she has a 457B plan with her employer that she can max out. So in 2026, the IRS limit is $24,500 for each person, and saving 25% of my income for retirement every year allow me to achieve FIRE significantly faster than saving the standard 15% most financial institutions recommend. And it's about aggression in the accumulation phase, so that you have peace in the distribution phase. And most of you watch my videos are in the accumulation phase, and you want to get to your first $100,000 in investments as quickly as you can, so that you can achieve your first $1,000,000 in investments much faster than your first $100,000 journey. And while impressive returns are certainly welcome, they were not the single most critical ingredient in my portfolio success. The real key, the foundational element, was my savings rate. You can have the investment expertise of Warren Buffett, but if you are only putting aside $50 a month, it's going to take you a very, very long time to build substantial wealth. If you complain that you're never going to get there, then you're never going to get there because you're not doing anything or something about it. You can only lower your expenses so much. So the most significant factor is your income. How can you increase your income so that you can max out your investments going forward? Now, once you have the money saved, where do you put it? This leads to the rule of 130. The classic rule used to be the rule of 100 to calculate how much you should put into stocks and how much you should put into bonds. You would take 100, subtract your age, and that was your stock percentage. But the reality is we are living a lot longer now, and medical technology is keeping us kicking way past what the previous generations expected. And Charles Schwab's investment strategy even suggests that retirees in their 60s should hold approximately 80% of their investments in stocks to plan for a life expectancy of 100. So instead of the rule of 100, I have been using the rule of 130 to determine my asset allocation. But keep in mind that this is not in any form of personalized financial advice. This is the strategy I use because it works for my personal situation. Now, take a look at the calculation I use. 130 minus your age equals the percentage of stocks you should hold. And I'm 39 right now. So if I subtract 39 from 130, I get 91%. That means 91% of my portfolio is in stocks and 9% is in cash or bonds. And that means 91% of my assets will be invested in stocks that are expected to grow at an average annual rate of return of 8% to 12%, while the remaining 9% of my assets will grow at a slower, safer average annual rate of 3% to 4%. But if I did that classic rule of 100, then subtracting my age of 39 from 100 would give me 61% in stocks. So in my financial situation, that 61% in stocks is not enough exposure for my portfolio to grow at least an 8% average rate of return. I want to retire earlier, not slower. That makes sense so far, right? And if I'm specifically looking at my 401k, I can always find a target date retirement fund that has a similar allocation that suits my age. However, I'm not doing this at the moment because I'm more risk tolerant, and I have put my entire portfolio in stocks, which is, again, not in line with any form of personalized financial advice. I want to be clear about that. Now, while I understand the rule of 130, I use my military pension as a steady cash flow, similar to bonds or the TSPG fund, and I allocate the rest of my assets to the stock market. And that pension is my bond allocation in a way. It's guaranteed income that's going to show up every single month for the rest of my life so I can afford to be more aggressive with my investments. So now let's move into one of my favorite formulas ever, the rule of 72. This one is all about understanding how fast your investments can double. And trust me, once you understand this, you will never look at compound growth the same way again. The formula is simple. You take the number 72 divided by your average annual rate of return, and you will get the approximate number of years for your money to double without making any additional contributions. For example, if your investments are earning 7% a year, do the math. 72 divided by 7 means it will take roughly 10 years for your money to double. If your investments are earning 8% a year, 72 divided by 8 means it will take about 9 years for your hard-earned money to double. And if you are earning 9% annually, 72 divided by 9 means your investment doubles in approximately 8 years. Notice the power of compounding. That difference of just 2% in returns, moving from 7% to 9%, shaves off over 2 years from your doubling time. And this shows why your asset allocation and return rate are so crucial to your long-term wealth building. And for me personally, my investments doubled in just 6 years, and my total return hit an impressive 115.13%, which is an average annual rate of return of approximately 19%. Now, if you use the math, 72 divided by 19 is roughly 3.8 years. So why did it take me 6 years? Because I didn't dump a lump sum on day one. I was dollar cost averaging or investing a fixed amount weekly. And this strategy is fantastic for smoothing out market volatility, but it stretches out the doubling time a bit because not all your capital is invested from the start. And let's talk about what happens when you actually cross that finish line. You need to understand that 80% rule. You're going to be surprised to learn that you will likely spend far less in retirement than you do now. It is crucial to know this by creating a retirement mock budget. And think about it, you're not investing for retirement anymore. Ideally, you have paid off your mortgage and your kids are out of the house and graduated from college. Basically, the 80% rule suggests that you should plan on needing about 55 to 80% of your current income each year in retirement to maintain your lifestyle. The specific number depends on how much you make now and how you plan to live later and what your healthcare looks like. And for most people, it's not 100% of their income. It's usually less, and it makes sense that you expect your budget to shrink once you retire. After all, you're not raising kids, you're not paying for a commute or work clothes, and you stop putting money away for the future. Hopefully, your house is paid off too, but don't make the mistake of thinking retirement is cheap. Just because some bills disappear does not mean new ones will not pop up, especially healthcare, which is often the biggest unknown expense. So what is your magic number? You can find it by looking at your replacement ratio, a technical term for asking how much of my current paycheck do I need to keep getting after I retire. Interestingly, the more you earn now, the smaller that percentage usually needs to be. Why? Because high earners spend a lot of their current income on savings and work-related costs. Once you retire, those expenses disappear, meaning you don't need to replace every single dollar you used to make. Now, let's look at the benchmarks from Fidelity to see where you stand. If you're making less than $50,000 a year, you should plan on replacing about 80% of your income. And for those earning between $50,000 and $80,000 a year, that dips to 75%. Then for the $80,000 to $120,000 bracket, it drops again to 70%. And if you earn over $120,000 a year, you may only need 55% to 65% of your previous paycheck. The logic is simple. High earners spend less of their money on survival and more on lifestyle. And lifestyle costs are much easier to scale back later. But listen, this is just a guideline. Your situation might be completely different from mine or anyone else's. Maybe you're planning to travel extensively in retirement. Perhaps you have expensive hobbies you would like to pursue. Maybe you want to help your grandkids with college. And all of that changes the math. And this is why creating a detailed retirement budget is so important. You need to know exactly what your expenses are going to look like, not just guess based on some rule of thumb. And the rule of 25 helps you figure out your target. A 25% savings rate gets you there faster. The rule of 130 helps you balance growth and safety based on how long you're going to live. The rule of 72 shows you how your money compounds over time. And the 80% rule helps you understand that retirement might cost a lot less than you think, but you still need to plan for it very carefully. And the key is to take those rules and adapt them to your specific situation. You're not flying blind anymore. You're got a roadmap. Now you just need to follow it and adjust it when necessary and stay consistent. That's how you achieve financial independence. And that's how you retire on your own terms. And this has been another beast of a video, and I hope you got a lot out of it.